everyone, and welcome to Week 5 of the GBA D-League. Your New York Empoleon are 2-2. Actually, surprisingly, we've pulled ourselves back into the competition right about now, and we are going to be taking on Gregulator and the Los Angeles Clefable this week. Greg is a well-known battler in the format. He's, I think, 1-3 right now, which I think is a steal on his part. If you haven't watched his match against Leo from Week 4, I encourage you to do that. I think Leo stole that match from Greg. I think Greg played really, really well. He just also beat Aaron right before that, so he's actually picking himself up as well after a slow start on his end. So both of us came from 0-2. We've managed to get to both wins. He had played really well in the past couple of weeks, but we are going to need to beat him now. This is our chance to show that we can play against someone else who's hot, someone else who's ready to go, and take ourselves to that next level. Now, his team is absolutely terrifying. Honestly, one of the hardest teams I've ever had to prep for in League format. I remember the analyst said that after the draft, he had the best draft. He's made a couple of changes, and I think all those changes have been positive for his team. So Tapu Koko, Greninja, Mega Scizor, Gliscor, Gudra, Seismitoad, Mienshao, Yanmega, Musharna, Quilladin, and Heatran, with Tapu Koko and Musharna being his Z users. This team is just a monster to prep for. Anything you think is good is bad against something else. Anything you think will work has contingencies upon which it becomes completely and utterly useless if he doesn't bring the Pokemon it's going to work against. You have to have very specific sets designed to counter specific parts of his team and hope that he brings those parts of his team. So as you'll see, my Pokemon are not designed to handle everything. They're designed to do specific tasks and do them well, and hopefully he brings the things that they're designed to counter, and if he doesn't, then I have to manage with what I've got. Obviously, that's the way this works. So, we're going to start off. We're going to be bringing another Air Balloon Bisharp this week. Jafar is going to be coming back. It's going to have Defiant. There's really nothing I need Defiant for specifically, but if he does go for a Defog with his Gliscor or something like that, then that is a good answer to that. Now, this is my rocker this week. That's why a good thing to switch in on a Defog, get the rocks back up, get the +2. Knockoff, Sucker Punch, and Low Kick are the other moves. Low Kick is really there for the Heatran, which Heatran doesn't really scare me that much this week. I don't even really think he's going to bring Heatran, just because, I mean, my base core, which I've brought pretty much every week, has been my Milotic, Mega Venusaur, and Victini, and Heatran doesn't deal with any of those, like, at all. So I really just don't see Heatran coming this week, but I do have answers for it if it does come. Obviously, I did bring the things that answer it, so Air Balloon Bisharp, which can counter Heatran okay. Obviously, it doesn't want to take a Fire-type attack, but it's got the Low Kick, which doesn't OHKO if he's defensive. I've got Knockoff for most of his team, which doesn't appreciate Knockoff. This can be a potential lead. I was thinking about Focus Sash, lead, and then lead against his Gliscor and force him to protect instead of set up his own rocks in event that I go for the Knockoff and Knockoff his Toxic Orb. Sucker Punch is my priority this week. Max attack, Adamant Nature. With 220 speed, it's going to outspeed the Gliscor if he's not running any investment, or if he speed creeps me. So he's base 95, which means he gets to 115. So if he speed creeps me, speed creeping him, then I'm going to speed creep that. And generally that's my style, so if I think that it's going to be close, I might go a little bit over just in case, put a few extra EVs there, just in case maybe he runs 412 EVs in speed, and I can still outspeed that if he's trying to think that I'm going to speed creep him or something like that. So my Bisharp's going to handle that. Next up, we have Nini in the Milotic. She's coming back this week. She's got the leftovers with Marvel Scale, so we'll see if she gets status, but that's not really the priority this week. I thought about running competitive, but then the set I was running didn't make any sense competitive, so I decided not to. Protect, Scald, Toxic Recover. I'm sorry about this set. I'm always sorry anytime I see Toxic Protect Recover on a Milotic. It's so hard to break through, but it's on my team for a reason. It's on my team as one of my two main walls, and I need it to be hard to break through. If I do get status, Tapu Koko can't kill me with a Gigavolt Havoc if it's not in electric terrain, and especially after Protect. I did really think about running the Wakanberry, but decided leftovers made more sense as a general thing, especially with Protect this week. This thing stops the Greninja, it stops Mega Scizor, it stops Gliscor, it stops most variants of Seismitoad, it stops Mienshao. Even without the status, it's still just stupid bulky. By being able to click Toxic on some things, Gudra is really a problem. Seismitoad obviously counters this hard if he does decide to bring it in, because I only have Scald on it. But even the Yanmega, the Mienshao, the Quilladin, the Musharna, I mean, yeah, not all of those like are things I'd love to Toxic, but there's nothing on his team I don't want to Toxic. Obviously, he has Heatran and Mega Scizor, and Gliscor, which that doesn't make any sense to click Toxic, but the rest of them, it's just a good move to have, and then obviously Recover is there. Now, I'm running max defense and max HP, and 4 in speed, which really doesn't matter, but if he does decide to try to speed creep me with the Goodra, something like that, like I said, you try to put a little bit in there so that he can't do that. So that's the set that I'm going to be running with the Milotic this week, and Milotic's counterpart, Vegisaurus, is going to be here as well. And Mega Venusaur is going to be coming with Hidden Power Fire, Knockoff, Giga Drain, and Synthesis, just so it doesn't get hard-walled by the Mega Scizor this week, if he does bring it. Hidden Power Fire can also hit the Yanmega if he does, and the Quilladin, but it is something I have to watch out for, that I don't have the Earthquake for the Heatran. I didn't really have a slot on my set for it. So I do have the Knockoff. If he does bring in the Heatran, I can scout out what item it was, get rid of a Scarf, get rid of a Berry, get rid of anything like that, or the Air Balloon, pop the Air Balloon just without, you know, do a little bit of damage. Giga Drain is there, mostly specifically for Gliscor, which is kind of funny. It's there for Seismitoad because I don't really have another answer to it. And I do see Seismitoad being a potential threat this week with the sets that I'm running, which get a little bit crazier from here on out. You might see some fun stuff. So a little bit of defense, a bunch of special defense with a Calm Nature, and then a pretty much max HP, just an even number of HP, so Synthesis maximizes what it's using, what it's gaining every turn. Technically, we get the same amount back with the even number or with the odd number, so I might as well go with the even number, because then I always stay at half. Anyway, this thing is designed to be another wall, so Milotic and Mega Venusaur together make that wall core that is just hard to break down. This thing, now, right here, I want to talk about Yanmega. I want to talk about how much of a problem it is. In every mock battle, in everything, my opponent brought Yanmega. He hasn't brought Yanmega yet this season, so maybe he won't see it. I think Greg's a better battler than that. I think he's going to see it. Yanmega gets a kill every time it plays me. There's nothing I can do about it. It switches in on the Mega Venusaur pretty much for free, especially with the set that I'm running. I click Hidden Power Fire, he clicks Air Slash with a Life Orb, and it takes out my Mega Venusaur after 2 Air Slashes, and he gets 2 speed boosts out of it, and it's awful. And it happens every single time, and there's no way for me to handle that because I don't want anything else to get sacked off either. And because you can have the Bud Buzz for the Bisharp, the Giga Drain for the Milotic, Victini doesn't appreciate it, so it's just brutal, that Yanmega. But he does get the kill, but he usually only gets 1 kill, and the reason he only gets 1 kill is because I can go into Victini, and I can click Blue Flare. I am Scarfed, but he's probably going to protect to outspeed me, but Blue Flare will threaten the Yanmega out. I can then probably get Rocks up if I've done some damage to it with the Venusaur or something, and then I can try to kill it after that. So usually it gets 1 kill, hoping it doesn't get more than that. Now, you will notice this Victini is a naive nature with 36 special attack, but max HP and Final Gambit Victini. Yeah, we're running Glaciate, Blue Flare, Final Gambit, U-Turn Victini. I really want to use Final Gambit this week. His team has 2 Pokemon that would survive a Final Gambit from full, which are Seismitoad and Musharna. That's it. Everything else dies to a Final Gambit from a Victini. This thing can come in and nuke something. As long as the rocks are enough, I can just trade this for literally anything. If my threats to Gliscor go down, Gliscor's dead. If I can't handle the Mega Scizor because it's roosting, Mega Scizor's dead. If I can't handle the Goodra because it's just too bulky, it's dead. Yanmega, dead. Mienshao, dead. Switches in the Heatran, dead. Everything. One thing trades with Victini this week. I don't necessarily think it's going to be something I want to click right away, but I am definitely considering Victini to be disposable this week. It is a Scarfed Final Gambit user. The only thing I don't really click it against is going to be on Mega in case he protects. Everything else, I really don't see Protect coming on maybe the Heatran if he has Toxic or something. But I would click this, and he'd switch Heatran in hard. Obviously, he wouldn't, I wouldn't switch this thing into a Heatran. That'd be super weird. But I think this is going to handle something this week. This Victini has just a really good matchup against his team in general. But with the Glaciate for the Gliscor and the Blue Flare for the Mega Scizor, U-Turn gives me momentum with the Scarf. And then again, if he doesn't have Rocks up and I can stay at full health, Final Gambit kills something. And even if he does have Rocks up, and I do take 1 set of Rocks, if he's not running max HP on most of his threats, with the sole exceptions of Goodra and Heatran at that point, I should kill them. Goodra and Heatran could take 1 Final Gambit if there's 1 layer of Stealth Rocks, but Koko, Greninja, Mega Scizor, Gliscor, Quilladin, Mienshao, they all cannot take 1 if he does decide to bring any of those. So this Victini's a nuke. It's Victini. It's always a nuke. But that is what I'm going to run this week. I think Final Gambit should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that it gets to be used this week. Next up, we have Gardevoir. Gardevoir is going to be holding the Babiri Berry. I've run Gardevoir against Mega Scizor before in old leagues, and Babiri Berry Gardevoir really does handle a Mega Scizor. Usually I run HP Fire, I switch it in, I get the Technician, he goes for the Bullet Punch, I hit HP Fire, and I kill it. Because once you get Technician boosted HP Fire, Gardevoir kills a Mega Scizor. However, I'm not going to be doing that necessarily this week. This thing is designed to be able to switch into the Heatran as well as the Mega Scizor. I don't expect him to bring the Heatran, but I need to have an answer to it. And a Flash Fire Gardevoir with Hidden Power Ground. So he can't hit the Fire type move with the Babiri Berry, so the Steel type move doesn't do much. Will do a lot of damage to a Heatran. Additionally, I have EV'd to outspeed a modest Heatran every time, which is what I exactly want to do. If he is running timid Heatran, then I will get outsped, but he doesn't do nearly as much damage and isn't that much a threat. Additionally, I'm running a Modest Nature this week. Moonblast should be able to be clicked on literally his entire team that isn't named Heatran, and because I'm not running any sort of choice item, I can then switch to Hidden Power Ground if he does switch to Heatran in. Moonblast still does about 40% to a Goodra, which is amazing, even if it's Assault Vested, which is kind of wild. And then Icy Wind is there for the Gliscor. It slows things down. His team has some interesting speed tiers, so I definitely want to slow down a Greninja. I want to slow down a Tapu Koko, so Icy Wind is there for that. It also OHKOs a Gliscor from, well, maybe not OHKOs it, but it kills it after Rocks, which is super cool. So that's what I'm going to be running this week on my Gardevoir. And finally, we are bringing the last member of the New York Empoleon this season. Yes, Flygon is going to be making its debut on the team. Nils and Ninian hitting the field together. If you understand that reference, I love you, because my name, for anyone who doesn't know, is a reference to Fire Emblem, and this is a pair of blue-haired Fire Emblem characters, dragons specifically. Well, not dragons, but yeah, yes, dragons. That's a spoiler. Anyway, rambling a little bit. Flygon is going to be holding the Firium Z this week. Fire Punch, Dragon Dance, Earthquake, and Dragon Claw. It's going to be max attack, but a Jolly Nature with a bunch of speed, which will outspeed any of his base 95s, which is Yanmega and Gliscor. Obviously, Yanmega after a speed boost will outspeed, but if I can get one Dragon Dance up and then he protects for the speed boost and I get another one up, I always stay ahead of his curve and stay ahead of him in speed. Now, Firium Z nukes all of his team that isn't named Heatran, and isn't named Gliscor. I know that Gliscor is a problem for this thing because physically defensive Gliscor doesn't take much damage from anything, even if I get to +1. And if he's running any sort of coverage for me, which I don't even know what he would run for me, but if he can do damage to me, and let's be honest, Flygon isn't the bulkiest Pokemon in the world, I'm going to be on a timer faster than he is. And so Dragon Claw, which is my best click against it, technically Z-Fire is my best click, but if there's anything else alive, I don't want to click it. And so Dragon Claw is my best, and even at +1, it's doing like 40% if he's not, you know, fully defensive. And that's not great. There's a much better way to do that. So probably won't set up with Flygon until after the Gliscor is either damaged or gone. But then once it is, this thing can sweep his entire team. He has no check to this, except for Water Shuriken Greninja. That is the only check to this thing. If I can get one Dragon Dance up, or double protect Yanmega. If I can get one Dragon Dance up, though, I can nuke anything on his team. And that's fantastic for me, because just knowing that I have an answer in Flygon in the back, and he has to wonder, is it Defog? Is it going to be U-Turn? Is it going to be Banded? Is it going to be Z-Move? What Z-Move? Dragon Z? And so, like, Groundium Z, like, what am I going to be running? He's got to know that I'm going to have the Fire Punch coverage for that Mega Scizor, but otherwise, I think this thing can put in a lot of work. This has been my win con in most of my mock battles, is keeping this thing healthy, setting up at the right time, and getting a few kills with it. It doesn't always finish the battle, but if it nukes a couple of his Pokemon, again, this week is about having Venusaur and Milotic wear things down until Victini can just kill something, and then everything else can handle the rest of his team. Now, it really depends on what team he brings. I am super nervous about this matchup. I think you guys can hear me babbling a little bit, because he has so many possible answers to so many different things. If he brings the Seismitoad and Gliscor, and like Quilladin, then my Flygon is completely useless. And Koko, you know, like my Flygon just doesn't do anything. And then if he doesn't bring those, but instead brings Yanmega, that kills something. If he brings a Heatran, then my Gardevoir is like more important. But if he doesn't bring the Heatran, then, you know, it's like there's just so many interactions that like his team has so many answers, and I really don't know what the best plays are going to be. So hopefully you guys come out to that battle tomorrow. Hopefully the battle tomorrow goes well, let's be honest. We are currently 2-2. I would love to get over 500 for the first time this season. I believe we are currently in 4th place, which is kind of crazy that we started 2 weeks ago. We were in 10th, and now we are in 4th. But we need to keep winning in this league. A lot of people say 6 and 5 is kind of your cutoff for like differential is going to matter for your getting into the playoffs. If you can get to 7 and 4, you're pretty much set. That doesn't give me a lot of wiggle room to lose matches, and I haven't played some of the top players in the league yet. So we are going to need a win here against Greg, and that's a tough order. So hopefully you guys come out. Hopefully all goes well. I will see you guys tomorrow with that battle. Take care, everybody.